Welcome to the Prep Pigskin Report podcast, hosted by Papa Pig himself, Paul Rudy.
Hey everybody, welcome to PPR podcast number 10, I think. My name is Paul. Burt Grossman, you all know, in the lower screens. Bowe Fertig and Brandon Stone. They need no introductions. They've been with the PPR, instrumental in the show's development.
Too darn long.
Yes, I know. Gentlemen, thanks for doing this.
Looking forward to it.
All right, well, let's get right to it. Friday night, when everybody went home, the pizza was cold, and we began. The video is circulated on social media. Three of us were there as we began the process. So I thought we'd start the conversation there because basically, we're getting to the point where we have to figure out who's going to be a finalist for what award. So I opened this to the forum. What one player in your mind has to be on the podium for the Silver Pigskin Player of the Year in 2021? Burt, I'll start with you.
Wow. The obvious or a sleeper?
What's one? We'll get to the sleepers in a bit.
I'm going to go with Dominic Nankill at Modern Day.
Absolutely has to be on the podium.
Yeah.
He's a underclassman, is he not?
I believe he is, but 280 yards per game, 18 touchdowns, 1 interception, 65 completion rate, undefeated. I think he has to be there.
All right, fair enough. Bowe, would you like to counter that, or do you agree?
Well, if he was at that meeting like we all were, he would know that juniors it's tough to get on the podium as a junior. We saw that with the Notre Dame quarterback right now. But yeah, that's nearly impossible with all the great talent at the senior level. At this moment, the best player on the best team, Cathedral's Lucky Sutton, leads D1 in yards per game with 156, leads Division I with 16 total touchdowns. If you want to move the chains, you give it to Sutton, who's averaging about 10 yards per carry. So as long as he stays healthy, he's a lock in for our podium.
Brandon, as I throw it to you, because I think I'm going to let you speak for me, because I think we have the same guy. But before you do that, is Nankill having the kind of year that Tyler Buckner had that got him on the podium, not only on the podium, and won him the trophy?
Well, the first thing I'll say about Mr. Nankill is I definitely don't want to come on this podcast and say anything to drive down him or his performance or Modern Day's performance. Right now, I'm still having hives over how we're going to handle the most convenient of Modern Day problems next year when their 10 best players all become seniors and we've got to make a whole lot of hard decisions that I think will frankly be harder than the Lincoln decisions that we're going to have to make this year. That being said, in order to get on this podium, as a junior, I have a very, very high metric of what you have to have in terms of offensive or defensive efficiency, dual side efficiency, college perception, and pro perception. I was not for Royce Freeman being on here as a junior. I was not for Zeke Noah being on here as a junior. I was not on for Elijah Preston being on as a junior, but Tyler's perception of that only changed because A, of his dominance, and B, of his college perception as the number one recruit, not just of quarterbacks or dual threats, but overall entering his senior year. So with that being said, Dominic can certainly wait, and I wait with open and loving arms as well. And Paul, I do think that you and I agree on this. There are a lot of players who could win Offensive Player of the Year, a lot of players who could win Defensive Player of the Year, a lot of players who could win Iron Hog. And then there's one guy who could have claim to all three of those along with a Silver Pigskin, and that is certainly Grayson Halton of the Saints. And listen, I understand that there are some who don't quite find themselves loving his game. But when you're going to Oregon to potentially be a defensive end or running back, depending on where they want to put you, and you can go and run a fade route and catch 3 touchdowns, get 8 catches, doing that along with all of your pass rushing work, along with the run stopping work for him that I still think is underrated. I think about what I saw with him against Lincoln just a couple of weeks ago. What I saw with my own eyes and what I saw on the tape later was the best tape that I have watched since Tyler in the D2 championship 2 years ago. At this point, there is no denying that. And you know how much I hate talking about who finalists are.
Yeah, and I know that the Saints are 1-7, and we're not. But and a lot of people will give them
However, we seem to model off the Heisman here. You have to be a senior. You almost have to be on offense. And I agree with you.
Not true. Grayson is getting in my book because he's a beast he'll get
No,
my
absolutely.
vote.
I'm just saying, but doesn't it bring you down if you're 1-7 and you're playing Cathedral this week, regardless? I totally agree with you. I've been saying it all year. I've been saying it for 3 years. He's the best defensive player in the county. But does it bring you down if you're 1-7, 1-8?
Yeah, that. But how many defensive players can catch fade routes in the quarter of the end zone and dominate the way they do?
I've only seen it one other time, and that was me in high school.
Yeah. And how many? I've had coaches who coach against him come up to me and say, "This guy." Some of these coaches say I played in the Big Ten, and he's as impressive an athlete as I've ever encountered.
And I totally agree, but I'm just saying, does his team having one win bring him down because it wouldn't the Heisman, it would anywhere else?
Well, then by using your metric, then Lucky Sutton is the choice because he's the best player on the best team.
No, mine's Dominic Meadkill.
Or then, yeah. But is Dominic even the best player on that team? There's so many good players on that team.
Wow.
All right, so all right, let's go around the horn because obviously anything we say today could change. I mean, I often do this as a study, guys, is I put down at our first meeting what my first 5 are, and then gala night, and I compare
Watch it evaporate.
Yeah, last year I had 3 significant changes, so I know that anything comes out of my mouth on this, what is today, the 12th of October, is likely going to change in a month's time. That said, sleepers. Let's go around the horn again. Burt, who's your sleeper?
My sleeper?
Yeah.
My sleeper would have been Grayson Halton, only because he's the most dominant player, but because of the team, I think he's going to have trouble. I know he's not a sleeper as an individual, but we do go by, he's a defensive player mostly. He does catch fade routes, but offensively, that's not his main spot. And his team is not winning, so I think that makes him a sleeper. Talent-wise, he's obviously the top guy, but with your team struggling, I think that makes you a sleeper.
Bowe, who's your sleeper?
Well, not a lot of people are talking to him because he's missed 3 games, but La Jolla's Jackson Stratton averaged 310 yards per game, 15 touchdowns, 1 interception before he got injured. He's committed to Washington, so Washington scouts know what they're talking about. I'll trust them. I spoke to Coach Tyler last night, Coach Tyler Roach, and it looks like he has a great chance of returning before the playoffs hit. They have the Dons in 2 weeks. If Stratton can put up big numbers against the Dons and sell the ship with a big playoff run, I think that would be an easy fit, at the very least, for a fan vote. And just not a lot of people are talking about him because he's injured. But he's going to be playing against good competition. And if he fares well against those high-level competition, he'll be on the podium or fan vote.
Brandon?
And I want to bolster his argument, even though he's not the player I'm picking for this. I want to bolster his argument just by saying that we're in week 9 and he's only played in 4 games. And through 4 games, he's still 12th in the county in passing yards. He's the real deal. But where I'm going to go with this is pretty simple. At some point, we're going to talk about undefeated teams. And there's one undefeated team, it seems as if we've been ignoring, and we've been ignoring the best player on said undefeated team. We got to talk about Jaden Virgin at some point. The man's got 14 sacks. The man already has 16 catches, 43 tackles, 17 of those are for loss. In other words, he's the one that's pushing the envelope and getting that team to where they are right now, their undefeated record. More time needs to be spent talking about those skills. And somehow I'm wondering if he's left to a fan vote, are we missing out on an incredible talent who could also one day be an NFL talent as well? I know this is a prep football show. We all understand that. But sometimes we also need to take care of our quality generational talent, too.
I'll venture a name that I think is a sleeper, and just on sheer athletic ability, is Savion Yokley from El Cap. That kid does special things like jumping over people. And I mean, he's an incredible athlete, talk about position versatility. He is the best player on a very good team in the East County. And, we haven't had a kid from the East County of this prominence since Ryan Lindley, I think. So,
and I want to bolster your argument, too, there, Paul. In his last game, he had a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a punt return touchdown. In other words, anywhere you put him on the field, he can be effective. And I think he also had an interception in that, too.
All right,
so in that game against Santana.
We'll go in reverse order, Brandon. You brought it up. We're going to talk about best undefeated team in the county. For those who don't know, I believe Carlsbad, Escondido Charter, Mater Dei, Mount Carmel, San Diego Jewish Academy, San Pasqual Academy, Santa Fe Christian, Scripps Ranch, West Hills are all undefeated. I think I'm accurate there. I might have dated information. Brandon, best undefeated team in the county.
You know, we had San Pasquale Academy chatting with us on the Instagram the other day because we didn't show enough love to their 3 female players when we were putting up the other posts. So I just want to give a nice tip of the cap to San Pasquale Academy. That being said, sometimes the most obvious answer is just the real answer, and that's why Carlsbad is the answer. Not only do they have the quarterback saying the best quarterback in the sophomore class in the entire country, but somehow Coach McNeil's been able to build him up, not by just taking the talent from his class, but by taking good senior class talent, Josh Davis, Matt Moore, surrounding him with quality receivers that play both ways, but also the one guy I'm talking about too, when you're talking about those sleepers for the Silver Pigskin, Anthony Forelli has truly been the glue on both sides of the ball for them. 9.5 yards a carry for them right now. Plus, he's got 59 tackles as well. That's the X factor for what makes Carlsbad the best. Not just the guy who throws the ball, but the guy who makes sure that everybody on offense and defense does what they need to do.
Okay, guys, just because I'm keeping an eye on the clock here, and we got to get done in time for headlines. So let's try to burn through these. Give me your when we do these, give me your 15, 30 seconds, minute max. Okay. All right, bro. Best undefeated team in the county.
Yeah, I agree with Brandon. Carlsbad plays against the best competition week in and week out, but I'm going to stay with my South Bay roots. Head coach John Joyner has done an exceptional job with those boys at Modern Day. They are hitting on all cylinders. I don't know what's better, their defense or their offense. Last 4 games, defense has allowed 7 points total. 3 of those 4 games, they gave up goose eggs. Offense averaging 47 points a game, but the stats to remember, guys, they are beating their opponents by an average of 42 points per game. They are simply demolishing the competition right now.
I was about to jump on Bowe and call him a South Bay traitor because I was going to pick Modern Day also when he went with Carlsbad.
You could take him. I mean.
Oh, no, I'm going to. And I agree with you. And I think, to show how good they are is we only talk about the offense and how great the offense is, but their defense is just as good. And when they're both that good, and we could be wrong. They might lose to Eastlake this week. It's a league game. I don't think it's going to happen, but watching them against Saints, they just have this next level offense. It's just the concepts are just amazing to me in high school.
All right, well, let me segue there because we're talking. We are going to have the Lincoln problem that we're having this year, as Brandon alluded to, next year with Modern Day. So let's shelve Modern Day and let's go to the Lincoln problem because legitimately they could have 4 kids on the podium, maybe 5. But we're not going to do that. We are going to pick one, and then we'll put the rest in other categories. We are going to take a lot of grief. So let's just get it out there in the open right now. Who's the best player on Lincoln, Burt?
I'm going to go with Jaleel Tucker. I think, a lot of the reason the other players are great too, but I think he takes a lot of heat off a lot of other people, makes a lot of other people shine. I think he would just be the top guy pretty much on any team. Not to take anything away from the other guys because they're all great, but I think he's the special one.
Brandon Block, please.
Walking into the season, I think any Jaleel you wanted to pick was probably the front runner, but that's only because the kid from Mesa, Arizona, still had to get comfortable with this team. First 2 games for Jalen, his completion percentage was under 60, and in those 6 games that have followed, he's turned into the premier signal caller and mover for that team. And at this point, it's sort of hard to deny that he's what makes all the Lincoln tools come together.
Oh, I would have given you bonus points if you had said it makes Lincoln buzz.
No, but I do love the Green Bees as the Santana cheerleaders.
Bowe. So we have a vote for Jalen. We have a vote for Jaleel, the Tucker Jaleel. Your vote goes to?
Yeah, those are great decisions. I'm going to go with Roderick Robinson, a.k.a. Baby LeGarrette Blount. 6'1", 220 pounds. It's simply unfair for high schoolers to try to tackle this guy. He also reminds me of a former Imperial running back, Royce Freeman, just imposing on all levels, throws defenders to the side, and he still has 1 year remaining. So
and how about
that's another great
and Nathan Acevedo? I mean, the list goes on.
Brian Roberts, too. He doesn't get any love at all. Brian Roberts, too. 6 sacks for him.
I mean, how they assembled that much talent. I'm really going to watch that Cathedral game when they play, is it a couple weeks, week after this?
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be a hell of a ball game. All right, but just a memo to all the Lincoln people that are following here. We love your team. We realize that there are so many good athletes, and we realize that it's an impossible choice. Someone's going to be upset. We're going to just we're going to go to other coaches. We're going to go to the Lincoln coaching staff. We are going to make as best choices we can. We'll try to spread out the love. But you're going to have one kid on the podium, you're going to have one kid in the fan vote, and then the rest are going to be distributed over other categories. I think that's the plan, is it not, Brandon, or am I speaking out of turn?
I don't think you're speaking out of turn at all.
All right, so then let's get to the juicy conversation. Best quarterback in the county. Burt, would you like to start? Or have you already given us your choice?
I already gave you mine.
All right, so your vote is for Nankill. Bowe, would you like to go?
Yeah, I talked about him earlier. Jackson Stratton, he's like sunshine on a rainy day, guys. The arm strength to beat the secondaries over the top. He has the touch of magic on those pylon routes. If you watch any film on this guy, he can make all the throws, has great touch. He actually reminds me a little bit about Justin Herbert. He can create with his legs and make defenses pay with his arm. So
can he make a good brisket?
All right, all right. Who am I? All right, Brandon, I think you and I are we going to say the same guy?
I don't know, but tip of the cap to Beto, tip of the cap to Sayin, tip of the cap to Nankill, tip of the cap to Leatherwood, but it's Jalen Daniels.
Okay. I'm just saying that kid from Carlsbad he's picking up offers from the SEC already, and he's a sophomore.
We can't pick juniors. You're going to pick a sophomore?
No,
now?
This is for just a conversational person.
Right. You just said who's the best around.
Who would you pick to quarterback your team tomorrow? I'm going with the kid from Carlsbad. Man, he moves around. The poise he showed in that come from behind win against Torrey Pines, very impressive for such a youngster. If he's this good as a sophomore, he's going to even be better as a junior. And
the poise against Mission Hills too.
Yeah.
Don't forget the 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Made the pass when it mattered.
Just saying.
Oh wow, I caught that. Just saying.
All right, guys. We got about 8 minutes here, so let's burn through this real quick. Holy Bowl matchup, has it lost its luster, at least in 2021?
No, that's the end of my answer because we're out of time. No.
Bowe.
No, you know what? The pageantry, the pregame festivities, long-lasting tradition, great fan base. It is still definitely the game to attend if you're in the county.
Burt?
No. I compare it to Army-Navy. It doesn't matter if one team's down one year or not. It's just a tradition, and it's just always going to be the game.
We should mention both Lucky Sutton and Grace Halton have agreed to peer together, which I think is so classy because it shows that there's so much character involved as far as sportsmanship afterwards and the mutual respect. We're really excited about talking about the game, which, let's be honest, Cathedral's heavily favored. I mean, it could be a running clock by halftime. So, but we'll see. George Foreman knocked a guy out, and no one thought he would.
Yeah, he did a few, actually.
In his 40s.
Michael Moore.
But then if that's not the best matchup, what's the second, or if that is the best matchup in Week 9, what's the second best matchup? Bowe, I'll let you brag first.
Right, South Bay game of the week, Eastlake versus Mater Dei. The Titans have won the last 10 out of 12 games against the Crusaders. They squeaked one out last spring at home, 13-12 to win a banner. Eastlake has won 3 division titles with 3 separate head coaches. It's just an impressive feat all around. This is for the South Bay Mesa League. The only team that stands in the way of Mater Dei of their undefeated season, Eastlake. They're going to win out if they beat Eastlake. They went regular season undefeated 2015, 2016. They can repeat the section championship like they did in those years, state title in 2015. So Mater Dei Eastlake is an easy game of the week.
Brandon.
Holy Bull's the second best game of the week. Eastlake Mater Dei is the best game of the week.
Burt.
I have to agree with them. I mean, unless you live down there, you don't realize these two schools, you could throw a baseball from one school and hit the other school. They're that close. Kids come out of youth football and they decide, am I going to Eastlake or Mater Dei? These kids all know each other. They've all played with each other since they were little. This is the game of the week. As far as, if you want to watch another game other than the Holy Bowl.
So, Bowe, that's why Bowe's got that big
I know, he's smiling.
Smile on his face.
And I appreciate it.
But
yes.
Isn't there a nice game in the North County?
Wait, did you tell Bowe the news that he's doing the Holy Bowl and I'm doing Mater Dei Eastlake this week?
Who's Carlsbad playing up north? Or is there a Torrey Pines LCC
They're playing
game?
Oceanside. Carlsbad's playing Oceanside.
Okay, all right. So let's wrap it up here, guys, on this topic. Saturday, we saw Burmeister take on Buckner. Burmeister went down with a shoulder injury, but still the fact that 2 prominent college football programs features a Silver Pigskin winner and a Silver Pigskin finalist just a few years apart What does that say, one, about San Diego high school football, and what does it say about the Prep Pigskin Report?
Who's up first?
Well, go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a couple weeks before that was Olave and CJ Verdell. I mean, I think when we first started doing the show, you maybe saw one or two guys get D1 offers. Now it's like 20, 30. I mean, you turn it on Saturday, you see San Diego guys. It's just amazing how far they've come. And I put to a lot of these coaches. I mean, a lot of the new generation coaches actually are pushing college and developing for college, not just for them to win a championship. They want kids going to college and be successful.
Brandon, has the PPR played a role?
I think it's played a huge role because we have a way of now getting people in the national spotlight, and I think that's increasing even more as we increase our Instagram range as well. I think we're making a pivotal difference in how we're seen around the country.
Bowe, you get the final words.
It's great to see Buckner get run in his first year. It's so difficult to do that at the collegiate level.
At Notre Dame, no less.
Yeah, and it looks like he earned himself more time. He's starting quarterback. Jack Cohn is struggling. But Braxton Burmeister, what a great story. You always hear about playing at a smaller school. He doesn't have the talent to play at the next level. He beat number 10 North Carolina to open the season in a small school at La Jolla Country. Yeah, out of La Jolla Country Day, you know, competing at a high level. It's a great story for San Diego.
It also speaks to the success of that transfer portal, because he would have been sitting riding the pines in Oregon, and here he is. He goes across the country. He finds a better fit for him, because sometimes the first fit isn't spot on, and everybody wins. Or Virginia Tech gets a quality quarterback. He gets to play because obviously he wants to play on Sundays, and he's showing that he can. And he doesn't have to sit out a year. So kudos to the NC2A for doing at least one thing right. Hey, gentlemen, thank you for giving up a half hour of your morning. It's greatly appreciated. I suspect I'll see you both. I'll see you down the road. Everybody, turn this off at 3, 2, 1. We're done.